Hello everyone, welcome back to another Zorkel video. Today we're going to be looking at a new simulator today. It's Aerofly FS4. Now, this is probably the #1 most underrated flight simulator there is. No one ever talks about it. And today we're going to be talking about it because there's barely anyone making videos about this. And today we're going to see, well, why is that? Why does everyone always talk about Microsoft Flight or X-Plane? We're going to see if Aerofly is any good. So let's get straight into it. The first thing I'm going to say is this cockpit is actually really well done. I mean, just look at the detail, just even on this right here, all the texture on it. All the lettering in this cockpit is insanely crisp. And I would say that the cockpit actually looks really, really good. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best renditions of a cockpit. So let's go ahead and start this aircraft up. While the APU is starting up, let's take a look at these airport buildings. I would say they're quite detailed. We have this custom tower right here as well. These ground textures could be better. They're not terrible though, especially like over here. Like this is not very detailed. There we go. It's called a pushback tug. This pushback tug is something that's a little bit newer to Aerofly FS4. They didn't always have this. As you can see right here, American 737 has just come into land here. This is an AI traffic. This is not multiplayer or anything like that. As you can see, he's just fading away. That's part of the Aerofly system, I guess. So you don't get anything live, which isn't great, but at least there's something. So what I'll say about the sounds in the simulator, first off, is that there's no ambient sounds. So as we were just sitting there at the gate, you couldn't hear any wind or any of the sounds at the airport. But the aircraft sounds themselves aren't bad. The sound design definitely could be more enhanced. I feel like they could add a lot more depth to it, but it gives you a representation. Let's go ahead and start taxiing here. Also, the performance in Aerofly is really good. Compared to sims like Microsoft that take an insanely beefy computer to run, Aerofly works on older machines as well. Again, I think these taxiways could be a little more detailed. They seem a little simple, a little basic. There's nothing like inherently wrong with that, but it definitely doesn't look as good as it could. Also, if we take a look here at the ground textures, this is really lackluster. There's no detail at all in this. It's just pretty much brown. Aerofly has some satellite imagery put onto it, but it's definitely not very detailed satellite imagery. And unlike Microsoft, where they will use AI to put in grass and all this different stuff, it's just flat. There's nothing else to it. That's something that could definitely be improved for sure. The trees are, I would also say, decent. I feel like that's going to be something we'll see a lot with the simulator, is that everything's kind of just decent. Nothing is exceptional, but it's all just decent, a decent representation. Also, the lighting engine, just the way the light interacts. These aircraft are way too reflective. You can see the taxiway lines in the bottom of this aircraft here. That's just not very realistic. An aircraft would never be this reflective in real life. Alright, we're coming up here at the end of the runway. Here we are. Again, the performance is excellent. We'll go ahead and give it some throttle. Sounds are decent again. Maintain that center line. Airspeed's alive. We're gonna pull back here. We are off. Landing gear can come up. So let's take a look here at this water. This is also something that's big with Aerofly, is everything in the simulator is static. So this water here is not 3D water, it's not animated, it's just a static image. So you get accurate coloring, and from an aerial perspective it looks quite nice, but it's not alive, it's not moving, it doesn't interact with the wind or anything like that. But now you can see, now that we're in the air, those bland ground textures look decent again. Like, from an aerial perspective, it all looks perfectly fine, but just when you're on the ground taxiing, it could definitely use some more detail. But in the air, it looks totally fine. Again, these trees here, from an aerial perspective, I would say look decent. They're okay. They're not great. They're not bad. It's just like, okay, yeah, those are trees. Again, the static water here, it looks good, but it's not alive. Alright, let's take a look at the weather. Take a look at these clouds here. This is, again, following the theme of static. These clouds are not dynamic. What you see is what you get. You can change the weather in the settings, but you cannot do live weather. There's no live weather. So you have to set it in the menu what you want, and that's what you get. They're not going to change. You're never going to be surprised by a thunderstorm or a front moving in. It's always just going to be these static clouds. And as far as how they look, I'd say if you just look at the cloud, it looks good. Like, there's nothing wrong with the cloud, but when you look around, every single cloud looks exactly the same. This cloud here is the same cloud as this cloud over here, the same as that one there. They're all exactly the same. So even though if you look at one individually and it looks good, it's just all the same. So it's just copy and paste. So I think that's something that needs to be worked on, is just more variety in the cloud types. Alright, let's go in for a landing. So let's take a look at this gear animation. The gear animation's good. Oh, and another thing is the shadows. I want to show you that. If you turn here. Alright, there we go. See the shadow coming in? I think this looks really good. The best shadows, in my opinion, out of any flight simulator. It's even better than Microsoft or X-Plane. The lines are just so crisp, and they behave just the way you'd expect them to. They also have a good amount of cameras, I guess. You can, like, oh wow, okay, this is what I see these reflections on the bottom of this aircraft? Like, this is insanely unrealistic. Like, you would never ever see an aircraft this reflective. That's just crazy. And another thing that we should talk about is the physics. The physics in Aerofly are actually really good. They're better than Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you can believe that. Still not on par with X-Plane, but it's hard to beat X-Plane when it comes to physics. That's where X-Plane really starts to shine. But I would say it's really good. It's very fluid, feels dynamic. This aircraft is behaving exactly the way you'd expect it to. The runway textures look pretty good. There's that displaced threshold right there. And touchdown. Go ahead, put in the reverse thrust. Also, you could see when the aircraft touched down, there is the wobble. I think that's quite nice, so that you can tell when you touch down. Microsoft is very like, oh, did I even land yet? Well, here you can actually tell, which is good. Alright, let's go ahead and test out another aircraft. If we're taking a look at the menus here in Aerofly, they have a ton of different aircraft, of wide variety, I should say. They've got helicopters, general aviation, old aircraft, legendary aircraft like the Concorde, World War II aircraft, and also, what I like is the airliners. They have a 777, 737, the older variant, the 500, and they even have an Airbus A320 over here. We're going to go ahead and fly the 777 here for Emirates. Let's go ahead into the menu here. The menu works just fine. It looks a little dated, but as far as functionality, it works perfectly fine. Let's go to Dubai. We'll just go ahead and take off here. Alright, and here we are. We just spawned in. Let's go ahead and take off here. Alright. Alright, get some throttle. Again, the sounds are quite nice in Aerofly for specific aircraft. Nowhere near as good as X-Plane 12 or Microsoft, but they represent the aircraft we're flying just well. Rotate. Again, the physics feel great. This aircraft is flying very fluidly. Put the gear up there. Retract the flaps. Alright, very first thing I notice, the clouds. Why do the clouds look like this? It's the dead of night, and these clouds are white. You can see them perfectly. This is not realistic at all. It's actually something you need to be wary of when flying at night, is that you could inadvertently go into a cloud because you can't see them. So this is highly unrealistic to have just these white puffballs floating around like this. However, I'd say the lighting, look at this cockpit, is all quite accurate. Like this is all looks quite nice. The external view here, it looks, we'll use the word again, it looks decent. It's okay, it's not great, it's not terrible, it's just mediocre. It's like, okay, this is a representation of what it looks like to fly at night. I think it's pretty cool that, you know, we can see this landing light right here in the side, but yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, it's night, but it's not blowing me away or anything like that. Alright, let's go ahead and change the time here. I want to show you something. Is this. This is crazy to me how pink it is. Look at this. This whole scene is just insanely pink. This is very, in my opinion, it does not look great at all. It's just way too oversaturated with color here. And just, this is insanely bright, filling up a huge portion of the screen. Say if we look in this direction, it looks better. It's like, okay, yeah, the sun's shining on the aircraft, it's super bright, that's okay. And this scene right here looks much more acceptable. But if you just turn over and look, it's like, whoa! Why is it so pink? Very detailed cockpit, everything's interactive, you can interact with all these switches. And again, if we look at the clouds, these are the same clouds we saw in KPDX, it's the exact same. The weather is not very immersive, just because it always looks the same no matter what. I guess take a look over here at the city while we're losing some altitude. This is all placed here by hand. It's not going to be as good as your photogrammetry and Microsoft Flight or anything like that, but at least the buildings are placed. Again, the aircraft performs nicely, the physics feel quite accurate and responsive. Yeah, you can feel this aircraft, it feels big, and it is big. I don't know if you knew this or not, but this one engine right here on this 777 could fit an entire 737's fuselage inside of it. That's how big this aircraft is. Put in the flaps. Landing gear animation. That looks quite nice. But yeah, if I were to just kind of sum up the experience so far, it would be the performance is excellent. If you want frame rates, Aerofly is your simulator for that. But if you want an alive simulation, it's definitely not the one to go for with the static weather depictions, static water, no live multiplayer, no live ATC. There's literally nothing like that. But if you want a shadow simulator, I'd say it's good. But I like how they at least have the 777 in the simulator, whereas in Microsoft or X-Plane you'd have to pay a lot of money to get an aircraft like this. This just comes in with the base sim, along with some other good airliners as well.
Decision height. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
There we go, touchdown. Ooh, look at that traffic over there. Morning departure. Let's look at that. The terminal buildings over there, that's all custom made. The terminals at Dubai, that looks quite nice. And let's do a high-speed exit. Oh dear. We're going 70 miles an hour. Yeah, I think that will conclude this video for today. Overall, Aerofly is still definitely a very good simulator. It's just, you know, not as good as some of the competition out there. I'd say X-Plane and Microsoft would have it beat, but it still has its own pros that could make it worth it for some of you guys. If maybe you have an older computer and you're chasing after those frames, then Aerofly would be a great simulator for that. It runs really good even on older systems. Also, if you want to be able to read your instruments, I say they do a great job making all this super crisp, easy to read. It has great systems depth in the FMS. You can program all this stuff, the aircraft, you can do all the startup procedures. So it's still a very well-made simulator. It's just, I would say it's not alive. You don't have live weather, no live traffic, no ATC. You can't do anything at the gate besides pushback. You can't do like catering or baggage or passengers or anything like that. So it's kind of just a static simulation. It's not dynamic. It doesn't change. What you see is what you get, sort of a deal. But if you like what you see, then maybe it's the perfect simulator for you. Alright. Well, don't forget, guys, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe. That really helps the channel to grow and get the video to more people. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.